welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here. Charles here. So, I love these political stories that kind of have a nexus with the media, but I
You love it when people just get really pissed off. That's what you love.
Well, I do like that. But I can't wait to talk about this Newt Gingrich story last night with John King from CNN and the explosion of anger on Gingrich's part. And, you know, my personal feeling, I think he was absolutely right, and I think that John King ate crap for what he did. But we'll talk about it. He disagrees. I can't wait to talk about it. On the other side...
Don't paint me into a corner.
Well, you did.
You don't know what I agree
in the
or
morning
disagree
meeting, you went after me on it.
No, I didn't
disagree.
go after you. I didn't go after you. I wanted you to clarify what your point was.
Okay, but hold on. So, on the other side, who is more awesome today than Barack Obama? Nobody. That's the answer.
Can't think of anyone.
I cannot believe his voice. I mean, to go to the Apollo Theater in Harlem and to dare to sing Al Green.
Nobody in Harlem calls it the theater.
I said I can't. I've never been able to say that word. It's literally. Don't you have like a word you can't pronounce?
Yeah.
I cannot. I've never been able to
You're
pronounce.
just not comfortable saying theater?
I've never been able to pronounce the word. I cannot do it. It's been my whole life.
No.
So
we now know.
So to nail an Al Green song the way he did was awesome.
To attempt an Al Green song the way he did.
It was fabulous. I mean, fabulous. So we're going to talk about whether that should be a fact, whether that will be a factor in the re-election of Barack Obama if that happens. So we're going to talk about that too. Also, in related news, we're going to talk about a woman who has two vaginas, and we are going
That's
to
more related to the Newt story.
And actually, really, and the fact that she's gotten a huge offer from a porn company now, and frankly, I believe. And we'll get into it, but this could be one of the biggest porns ever. And also, Tim Tebow going to Las Vegas. There are people in our newsroom who doubt that he could be as pure as he was in Las Vegas. I think they're full of crap, but we're going to talk about it. So let's start with Newt Gingrich. Do you want to set it up?
So Newt Gingrich last night on the Republican debate was on CNN. Opening question: John King goes to Newt Gingrich, and we're going to play this for you here.
As you know, your ex-wife gave an interview to ABC News and another interview with the Washington Post, and this story has now gone viral on the internet. In it, she says that you came to her in 1999, at a time when you were having an affair. She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
The fact that Newt just didn't back down and just looked at me, I mean, his response was perfect. No, but I will. And then chewed his ass out.
But can I say that even before, see, you know, there's, when you're involved in debates like this, you're trained to smell blood. And I think Newt Gingrich smelled blood when John King was asking the question. And here's why. And by the way, get it ready because I'm going to ask you to reply. Let me just make my point. My point is that if you notice, even John King had trouble justifying the question. So he said, your ex-wife gave an interview to a TV station. And then he says, and then it went viral on the internet.
So he's setting up, even before Newt can, he knows that there's going to be a negative reaction to this question. He's already sort of playing it down like, well, here's why we did it. He's making excuses for it already.
He's making excuses by saying,
viral.
look, it's not us. Look, it's already gone viral. Everybody's talked about it. So by saying that, he himself, John King, before he got any answer from Newt Gingrich, knew how ridiculous it was to start it this way. So that's why he had to some woman goes on, it's his ex-wife, got it, from, 12 years ago. She goes on TV, and suddenly she makes a new claim on the heels of the debate, and you can't just say, well, ABC News did it, because that's going to look kind of lame.
Right.
So, but it's gone viral on the internet. So that somehow justifies elevating this into first question.
And when Newton knew that there was blood in the water, was when he said, no, but I will, and the crowd went nuts. And he's like, all right, now I know I can go after
think it's totally
him.
justifiable that it was asked.
Why?
Because his whole platform, he is against gay marriage. So when his marriage is a topic of the news, I think it's fair game. And he pretends to be like this holier than thou with the religious right and everything, and he's trying to legislate against people who can't get married. So I think his marriage is completely up to be debated about.
But you know what? And maybe you're right that it can be talked about, and maybe there's a place for it in the debate. The question is that the lead question? Is that the tone? Because the lead question is the tone you set in the debate.
The 14th Republican debate here. There's been 14 of these things.
I don't care. I don't care. Is that really the way you? Is that where you open the debate?
It is, and I'll tell you why. Because Newt Gingrich made his reputation as a culture warrior. He made his reputation talking badly about Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton was having an affair. And according to this story and this interview that his second wife did, he gave a speech 2 days later on family values. So if it is true, then he asked her 2 days before he gave a speech on family values to have an open marriage. Now, whether you're for or against open marriage, it flies in the face of everything that he's parading around. Well, it undermines his character.
So basically, a woman who's never made a claim like this in 12 years, who hates this guy, comes out, makes a claim 12 years belatedly, and it somehow gets elevated so that John King can say, oh, well, we're going to take some bitter woman who comes out 12 years after the fact, makes a claim, and we're going to say, okay, well, now we have to ask the question, because you got to look at the quality of the information you're getting. So out of all the things John King could ask, he chooses to ask this question.
Well, you could look at the quality of Newt Gingrich's fidelity. I mean, he married this second wife just less than 6 months after he divorced his first wife. So, so if he comes out as a culture warrior and he's constantly doing things that undermine that, then I think it is fair. And especially, this is his big claim to fame, his claim, how he got his political power and prowess. I think it's important. Different candidate, no. A different candidate, I agree with you. But with Newt, the way he's built himself on it.
Well, that's because you hate him. But let's look at the second round here, which I think really reveals John King and how ridiculous this was. So this is what happens right after Newt Gingrich explodes on John King.
As you noted, Mr. Speaker, this story did not come from our network. As you also know, it is the subject of conversation on the campaign. I get your point. I take your point.
John, it was repeated by your network. You chose to start the debate with it. Don't try to blame somebody else. You and your staff chose to start this debate with it.
I got to tell you, that to me is one of the great pet peeves that I personally have.
John King's a wussy.
Exactly. We've seen networks sanctimoniously say, well, that's not our story, but they did the story. And if they have any kind of moral compass, and if they feel a story is wrong to do in the first place, it doesn't make it right to do because somebody else did it, so you're repeating it. And for John King to say, oh, well, we didn't break the story, well, what he's saying is it was wrong to do. All we're doing is following it. So basically, John's saying that CNN is a bunch of lemmings, and they just followed what ABC did. It wasn't our story. We just kind of followed it.
Harvey, I think one thing, going back to the reporter, John King, when I was driving in this morning early, we probably heard it at the same time, when I was listening to it, when I first heard it, I thought, okay, that was a good question. That's a good question for him to ask. It's totally relevant. He's a good reporter. He decided to go with a topic that's relevant, that's brand new in the news.
Why was he so defensive?
No, and I wanted to say, my end of my comment is, why would you back off? Like, why would you defend yourself to the public and to Newt Gingrich and go, oh, no, it wasn't my network. He basically showed his cards that he felt bad.
He was embarrassed.
He felt like he was embarrassed. He shouldn't have said it.
And say,
you know what? I was surprised when I got in, Harvey, to hear your opinion on it, because in my back of my head, I kept saying in the car, great, I'm glad he asked that. And then when I get to work, Harvey's going to agree with me. You asked a hard-hitting, aggressive question up front that everyone wants to know the answer to, which is exactly what I've worked for you for 8 years, and that's what I would have done. Ask him the question everyone wants to know the answer to. Right now, that's what everyone wants to know. How do you feel about that?
But you know what?
But then don't back off. Don't say, I'm sorry I asked that. That's wussy.